You ever skip a spook? Can't even see it up underneath there. I can't tell if anything happens to it or not. Gotta skip a spook once in a while. Keep it honest. Howdy y'all. This video that you're fixing to watch, I've been working on this thing for several weeks to a month probably, trying to put together in a concise and manner that makes sense. Now again, like I always say, this is the way I do things, my opinions, whatever. It's what's worked for me for a lot of years. It's how to cast, or the casts that I make, not how to, because truth I don't do much explanation on how to do anything. 5 basic casts and a 6 bonus cast is what we're going to show you. I'm not going to go into real depth, except the distances is the main reason I do the different kind of casts, whatever. It's pretty simple. It may be boring, I don't know, but I've been seeing folks make some really weird decisions, not just bass fishermen. This is not a bass fishing video, truthfully, because casting's casting. I mean, everybody's got to make those same kind of casts. So, hope you guys like this. If you do, hit that like button, all that crap, subscribe, whatever. I don't know if I've done this one good enough. We'll see. Check it out. This is Hickory Outdoors with D.W. Verts. Now the cast that everybody does, everybody knows, is the overhand cast, right? And some people, that's all they do. The overhand cast for me is for 40-foot and longer casts. Any bait that I want to throw that far, especially when I'm not as worried about my trajectory, not worried about how it lands in the water. This frog, it's obviously going to use the frog because you're going to make, unfortunately, too many long casts with a frog. Gets you in all kinds of trouble, but that's the way it is. It is my #1 crankbait cast, my #1 topwater cast. Jerk baits. Unless you're throwing around a target like a boat dock or timber or something, you're going to throw overhanded. Now, straight overhanded to a few degrees one side. Like if I'm throwing right hand, I'm going to throw a few degrees off the right. It kind of gives you some more control than if you just launch it straight forward. That was probably 3 degrees to the right, if that makes any sense. The most basic cast on the planet, but some people use it too often, I think. Okay, I throw my 20, 30, maybe 40-foot cast sidearmed. A lot of them, especially when I have to be real accurate, like with this frog. The sidearm thing lets you bring the bait in without a whole lot of trajectory issues. I actually put a little underhand lob to it there, but the sidearm is a medium cast for me. 30 foot, 20 to 30 foot is pretty close, right there. I bet you I throw a sidearm cast more than any other cast that I make. It works with any bait, of course. So that's probably 40, 45 foot. That's about as far as I need to do that. I can do it further, but sometimes sidearm gets you a trajectory where you can get in behind things, like a willow bush, boat docks. And sidearm's the only way to come in from the left or right and make that happen. Okay? If you're not throwing sidearm, you're missing half your cast or more, most likely. Hope that makes sense. Yeah, this underhanded cast is generally used with a spinner bait, sometimes a buzz bait. I guess I've done it with about everything I've ever thrown, but it's a spinner bait type deal. 15 foot, 20 foot's a long cast. And you're just able to lay it in there nice and soft and easy, be on top of the bait, be ready when a fish bites, if a fish bites quick. Just real little low trajectory casts, not lobs. And when the fish are biting this way, you can make so many presentations. And I'm doing this myself right now with a little 5.5 foot pistol grip rod. It's ultimate for really short casts. I know it's a real limited play thing for most people. I'm going to keep doing this until I'm not doing this no more because it just works too well. A 6.5 foot rod would work for some people. Any longer than that, you're going to be in the water if you do this right. It just isn't going to work very well. So I'm using this 5.5 foot medium heavy. Of course, I'm a shorter person. I'm also in a boat that doesn't sit very far off the water like a full-blown bass boat would. So there's things to take into consideration. Most people are going to use too long a rod for this. Okay, so y'all, this is probably the most popular cast that I see people make, and it is pitching. Pitching's a 15 to 20 foot for me presentation. It can be into heavy cover, whatever, bare banks. It's a trick to get your trajectory of your bait into the water perfectly at shorter to not quite mid distances, if that makes any sense. So I got this lay down log here, and it's not real thick, so I'm just going to pitch. It is a very good presentation for fairly close fishing. That's just what it is. You start trying to pitch a long ways and you start having to overpower the bait, and it's best to go to maybe that sidearm cast or even a light overhand cast. That's pitching. Pretty simple. You can make it where it's a pretty splashless entry. You get good enough at it, is probably, on any given day, it's probably 40 to 50% of most people's casts, if not more. And there are days it's the only cast you make. So the pitching is a 10 to 20 foot short to light medium range presentation that you do with a slow bait. The biggest thing about the pitching is you retrieve it with the rod and reel like a regular cast until you're ready to make another presentation. That is the biggest difference between pitching and my next cast, which is actually about my favorite cast, and flipping. And here's the deal. You pitch your way in, you're pitching along, then you get really close and you want to make a short presentation, and that's where you flip. Now, 90+% of the bass fishermen don't do this anymore. I don't know if they're lazy, I don't know if they realized or forgot the merits. That's flipping. It is the best, but I'm not going to argue the merits. I'm just telling you, it is for, I'm not very tall, so it's not as far for me as some people, but 10, 12, 15 foot would be a long flip. That was about 12 foot. 10 foot's probably the best for me. It's up close and personal. When you're wanting to make a presentation straight into really heavy cover, especially when you want to do it quietly, because you can just lay the bait in there so soft. So you got bass in a foot of water in a bush, in the middle of a button bush or in lily pads, and you want that bait to drop in on top of his head unannounced. That's what flipping's for, and there's a flip, and that's as good as I can do one right there. So hopefully that makes sense to y'all. Pitching is not flipping. I'm not going to argue the dynamics of it right now, but they're not the same thing. There you go. Okay, the next part of this video is on skipping. There's no voiceovers, no nothing while I was doing it because I was fishing that day. That's actually a pretty old clip. It's back in probably August. It was a windy, horrible day, and I'm skipping a swim jig, a 3/8 ounce jig with I think a twin tail trailer, whatever, and I'm skipping underneath the dock. It was just, I was filming. It was hot. It was brutal, windy. It was fishing. It was tough. But I thought it was as good a clip as I could do, maybe, to show you how I skip. So that's what you're fixing to see here at the end. Well, there you are. Hopefully that made sense to everybody. I know it's really simple. One thing I don't think I ever touched on in the video while I was fishing, see, this is several clips over several days, is there's always combinations. There's always, at one time I remember I said I made a little underhand loop sidearm. There's not just 5 or 6 casts. There's combinations thereof. Mostly it's due to how far you're wanting to throw the bait, how accurate you need to be, and how quiet the presentation needs to be when it gets in the water. The flipping pitching thing, I've been seeing that ever since I came back to bass fishing. People call flipping pitching, it ain't. I'm going to do some in-depth videos on that, the how-tos and what for, because that's a pretty important thing to me to catching big bass, and hope it will be to you too. So there you are. Guys, thanks for watching. Appreciate it very much. It's kind of a nasty, chilly, wet day here in the northern plateau of the Missouri Ozarks. I'm going to get back and get some work done. God bless y'all. Thanks for watching.